Deep in the Aravalli hills of Rajasthan lies a sprawling, ancient metropolis. At its peak, Bhangarh housed over 9,000 homes, palaces, and markets. Today, it is an abandoned stone skeleton where not a single house has a roof, and it holds the reputation of being the most notoriously haunted location in India. The fear surrounding this place is documented at the main gate. The Archaeological Survey of India has placed a strict legal warning here. Entry is entirely forbidden after sunset. Local folklore explains this restriction through a legendary curse. The story claims a dark tantric tried to use a black magic love potion on the local princess. When his plot failed, the magical object turned into a massive boulder, crushing him to death. As he died, he vowed that no soul would ever survive within these walls again. Thousands of modern tourists report experiencing this curse firsthand. Visitors talk about hearing disembodied screams echoing through the darkness. Others feel a suffocating sensation of being watched from the shadows, and many claim their vehicles suffer sudden mechanical failures the moment they try to leave. The physical symptoms of panic reported here, the racing heart, the chills, the dread, are measurable and real. However, the supernatural explanation for these events ignores the specific biology, physics, and ecology actually at play within the ruins. The government warning at the entrance reflects a specific administrative reality. In 1951, the Archaeological Survey of India designated Bhangarh a protected monument, managing a site where unlit corridors and crumbling stone walls pose a constant threat to anyone walking through the dark. There is also a significant ecological factor right next door. Bhangarh sits less than 50 kilometers from the Sariska Tiger Reserve, an 866 square kilometer sanctuary. At night, predators like Bengal tigers regularly roam through these ruins to hunt. The terrifying sounds of weeping women heard at night perfectly match the natural vocalizations of striped hyenas. From a distance, the scavenger's call sounds identical to a human crying out in distress. The lethal dangers lurking in Bhangarh after sundown belong strictly to the animal kingdom and basic gravity. Beyond the animals, visitors often feel a physical dread caused by infrasound. This animated chart shows a 19 Hz sound wave sitting just below the threshold of human hearing. You cannot hear a sound at this frequency, but your body physically feels the vibrations. Look at how this sound behaves in the environment. When strong winds pass over the jagged, roofless stone corridors of Bhangarh, the ancient architecture acts as a natural acoustic generator, continuously pumping out these exact 19 Hz waves. When those waves hit a person, they trigger micro-vibrations in the inner ear and the optical nerve. This biological interference induces sudden spikes of anxiety, deep chills, and even causes the fluid in the eyeballs to subtly vibrate. Visitors standing in these courtyards are reacting to invisible sound waves produced by the wind and stone, which the human brain often misinterprets as a supernatural presence. Once that physical dread sets in, psychology takes over. Before a tourist even sets foot in Bhangarh, they are bombarded with warnings about it being India's most haunted fort. This psychological priming places the brain into a hypervigilant state. This triggers an evolutionary cognitive glitch known as pareidolia. Humans are hardwired to survive by recognizing patterns, causing our brains to aggressively search for and identify human faces and figures, even in completely random, meaningless textures. With the optical nerve vibrating from infrasound and the brain in a hypervigilant state, visitors frequently perceive movement in their peripheral vision. A glance at a dark corner of the fort results in the mind instantly piecing together shadows into a staring figure. Shadows appearing to move between these pillars are actually the products of a survival mechanism misfiring in real time, fueled by a combination of suggestion and low light. The transition from a metropolis of 9,000 homes to an empty ruin occurred gradually over decades. As regional power shifted to newer capitals, Bhangarh's political and economic influence began to fade. The remaining population was eventually wiped out by a documented historical disaster, the devastating Chalisa famine of 1783. That year, severe El Niño climate anomalies caused a prolonged drought across North India. water sources dried up, and crops failed, forcing the entire population to abandon their homes and scatter across the country simply to survive. Bhangarh was slowly suffocated by a catastrophic environmental collapse. This leaves us with a question of why society promotes a spooky folktale about a wizard's curse while largely ignoring the documented historical famine. The human brain prefers structured narratives over randomness. A story about an evil villain plotting revenge is dramatic and provides a clear reason for a mass tragedy. Compare that to the historical truth. The fact that a thriving city can be entirely wiped off the map by a random, uncontrollable shift in global weather patterns is difficult to process. We use stories to find order in an unpredictable world. The physicist Marie Curie famously noted that nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. When we apply science and history to the shadows, we remove the terror of the unknown. Examining these ruins through the lens of acoustics, biology, and history demonstrates exactly how the human mind creates meaning when faced with the unknown.